Hello and welcome to the Workplace Ninja Netherlands podcast recording where we dive deep into Intune and what's new. Please welcome our, what do we call it today? Our participants, Kenneth Versurksum, Joost Gelijsteen, Sander Rozenmuller and Frans Oudendorp as your host to today's podcast. So welcome guys.
Yeah,
Hi.
good to be there. Cool.
It's I think last month we did a recording on all the things new in March. It's the beginning of May now, and we're talking about everything what's new in Intune in April. So, what is the most important thing to call out? What was happening in the last month? Joost,
Yeah.
do you have a
Yeah.
suggestion?
Yeah. There's we have a new icon for Intune.
A new icon. It's
Yeah.
not a logo.
No, definitely not. It's an icon.
So, and there was a lot of buzz within our MVP community on this topic. Do we know why the new icon is there? Is there only to update some brands, or do we know that?
I've noticed there are several new icons for Defenders. A new icon, so they're overhauling it, having a good, nice look and feel, more modernized. So I think that's more the case, and
Yeah.
job needs to be filled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw already. I think it was Simon Scott Heimsvik from Norway that did a short video on LinkedIn how to update the icons in your presentations and that kind of stuff. So a lot of funny things are coming up with the new icon.
Indeed. And
Yeah.
we are glad that we didn't take that tattoo of the old icon, are we? Huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So maybe that's a tip for me. Never take a tattoo of a Microsoft product logo because it might change over time. Yeah.
Well, I have a tattoo of all product names of Microsoft, so my back and also my belly are full of.
It's still
Hey.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But,
so you can create an whole range of the evolution of Intune with all the icons and logos and that kind of stuff.
indeed, yeah.
Okay,
But
so update your documentation, update your presentations if you're using the old logo, old icon for Intune.
exactly, and
Um,
I do think we see the new icon or logo in the portal already, yeah, on some places. But it could be that you still see the old logo somewhere. So that usually takes some time to properly update everywhere needed.
yeah, but they should
There's
nowadays.
Intune where we also see endpoint management still, so I think it
Yeah,
might be.
yeah, yeah.
But nowadays, if we're looking at the Microsoft product scanner, it's changing almost every month. So they should know how to replace an icon
Indeed.
or
Yeah.
I think that's
And
the
we-
main reason why they introduced Copilot, so AI can help with translating all the new
Yeah.
names back to the
Indeed.
new name. Then.
yeah.
Okay.
And another thing happened, not directly Intune related, but we can manage that with Intune. Is some OneDrive stuff, Kenneth? You mentioned that up front the recording,
Yeah.
and I saw it also on LinkedIn. What's the problem with OneDrive?
No, it's not necessarily a problem, but what Microsoft announced is that people who actually have a OneDrive for Business account and have logged in using their personal Microsoft account will actually now get a pop-up within OneDrive for Business in order to connect their personal OneDrive account as well. And of course, that's nice if you have a personal OneDrive account. But from a data leakage perspective, it could actually end up in people maybe leaking company data to their personal OneDrive, which you want to circumvent. Well, what Microsoft did is actually they provided some settings to make sure that this pop-up doesn't pop up, to say so. But they actually forgot that there is like a system in order to set those settings which is called Microsoft Intune and uses CSP as the method to do so. So they did release the settings, but only available within the GPO settings, which you can start using when you do an ADMX import, etc. So for now, if you want to circumvent it, there's actually one option left. That is blocking logging in using a Microsoft account at all at the system. You should ask yourself whether you want that, because in some cases you want people to be able to log in using their personal account. But for now, that's actually the only option you have available to make sure that users do not connect their personal OneDrive account and making that available in the File Explorer and stuff like that. I do hope that the CSP setting to block that pop-up will be available soon with it in June. But up until now, I haven't found the setting yet.
What we are using right now is we are setting the allow sync OneDrive accounts for only specific organizations. So you have to place the tenant ID of your organization into it. So only
Indeed.
that organization is allowed to do it,
Yeah.
and we prevent users from sync personal accounts.
Yeah, so
Those are the
that's a
two.
way to do it. You do see though that you have to maintain like a whitelist of all the tenants that you want to connect to. But the solution that you are using is having then you have the most control over where users can connect to. And don't get me wrong, if they want to leak data, there are of course other possibilities as well. But I think this is a good case of somebody who had a good idea, but not totally understanding what the implications are of executing that new functionality, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so
True.
to prevent that, Joost mentioned the options to do that, and we also will mention in the description the URL where you can learn how to hide the message. So it will be in the description
Indeed,
of the,
yeah.
of the
Yeah.
video.
So if you really want to do it, of course, in the end, a GPO setting is, of course, also a registry setting, as Sander already mentioned before we started recording this podcast. So you could deploy, of course, the registry setting and accomplish the same. But we as Intune admins would like to have the setting available before the functionality is turned on and not after.
It's always the same.
Yeah.
They are releasing functionality, and we are coming after it. So first we need to do on a CSP custom OMA and then afterwards we can finally design it in the settings catalog. So we need to do multiple stuff on that, and
Indeed.
that's not
Yeah.
it's not the easy way.
No. No, and maybe this is actually a good bridge to like a next topic that we see as well, is that one of the things that has been released by Microsoft is an update to the security baseline. So to further explain that, we normally have baselines provided by Microsoft. Maybe I don't know what the frequency is, but let's say on a yearly basis. It's lagging a little bit behind with the Windows feature update releases. But what happened now for the first time is that actually new settings have been added to the already released endpoint security baseline. And that basically means that customers need to open the baseline if they already deployed it. And once they edit their baseline, the new settings will automatically be added. And then you need to save them, and then they will become applicable to the clients to which that policy has been assigned.
Does that
Um,
mean,
and
does it mean then that when you have the policy already in place, those new settings are not applied? You have to edit
indeed, yeah,
the policy first, then it will be added to,
yeah,
and then you have to set it.
exactly, yeah. And
But
that is a little bit different to how it used to be. Yeah, I just want to make sure that people working with this endpoint security baselines are up to speed, because it could also be that they want to change a total other setting, and as a bonus they get the new settings. For example, one of the settings is that SMB2 actually gets disabled, so it could actually break some stuff within your environment as well. So please be careful when modifying your endpoint security baseline, which you use for Microsoft, is if it has already been created maybe 1 or 2 months ago, once released.
What
Yeah,
about, isn't there a best practice to just create a new security baseline policy where all the settings are there and then
Yeah,
configuring it again? Or
that's what I will do. So create a new version of the policy and use your deployment rings as described by Joost in his blogs as well, to do a proper rollout within the organization, and not to all users who already have the old version of the security baseline.
Yeah, but there's one difficulty in that one, Sander. If you created the baseline a month ago, and now the new settings are there, and what Kenneth mentioned, you edit it, or you view it or open it, probably you will edit it, see what kind of settings you did to do it in the new version. You're already going to set those policies, because then they're there. If you save it because you think you don't changing things, you have to cancel it, because otherwise you're doomed
apply the new
to get
settings.
those set.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get some bonus settings which you didn't ask for because you were modifying that security baseline for another purpose at that point in time.
it's a nasty migration.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. In fact, you want to
another,
make it
another
open,
reason
you open the other
to
one.
another reason to do it in the settings catalog and not in the security baseline.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, so I think both Joost and I, maybe you also, Frans, we actually, once a new security baseline gets released, we actually translate that to separate settings catalog settings. And there are also other people there. So like we have the open Intune baseline, which contains that as well. So it's not like you have to do it yourself. There are lots of people publishing that on GitHub, etc. as well. But
Yep.
my advice would be to only use the security baseline as like a template of the settings that you want to deploy, but you have far more control if you translate that into proper settings catalog configuration policies.
The granularity, and we talked a lot on that in previous recordings. The granularity to deploy that, easily to your end users is much more than doing that from the security baseline.
Indeed, yeah.
Are there any what kind of settings are added? Are they impacting organizations, or is it more or less some easy stuff that has been added?
Well,
Do we know?
what has been added was actually already in the security baseline as being released as part of the GPO package. Yeah? So what happened? Microsoft released 24H2, and on the same day they actually released the GPO package containing all the new security baseline settings. That was actually quite okay. But what happened here is that also the settings catalog didn't reflect all the new settings in that security baseline, and the security baseline as released as part of the GPO package is, in my opinion, more targeted to traditional AD environments, because that's where you use GPOs. So some settings in that version of the security baseline are not applicable to Entra-joined devices.
Yeah.
But again, they did add later some settings related to LAN workstation, LAN server. So everything that you do with sharing files or connecting to shares. And there's actually one new setting for Defender being added to that as well. All those settings are now available within the settings catalog as well, but they have been added. And one of the things I already gave that example is, for example, that old SMB protocols are being turned off on the device. So if you have like an old NAS somewhere who is not capable of talking SMB 3.0 or higher, then that connection will actually fail from that point forward.
Yeah.
So there is some impact.
Yeah, but have a look at the new settings because it's now available within Intune. So
Yeah.
you can turn it on within the settings catalog as well. And it's based on the 24H2 baseline that was already released a few months ago.
Yeah, so
But
it's actually a
are
new
now added,
version.
yeah, but are now added to the security baseline. And if you open it, like you said, and you are saving it, then you have probably some new settings active.
Indeed. Yeah, extra bonus features.
Yeah, yeah, that's a nice way to call it, bonus features.
Well, in the end, I mean, I do like the security baselines. They make the devices more secure, and you need to configure it in order to enable that security on the devices. So don't get me wrong there. But sometimes the way that this is being released is not the most handy for the people who have to actually work with the product. And the only thing that we can do, if people listen to our podcast, is make them aware of what's going on, so that they don't have to fall in the trap that's there, to say so.
Yeah,
I have two
And
questions about it. I have two questions about that point. First thing is, when opening the policy, do you see which settings are new, or is just a list of every setting there is in, and then you have to figure out what's new then? Or
Indeed, that's the case,
okay,
Sander. So there's not like the new settings are being highlighted as being new, or be careful when saving this. You actually get some new settings as well. That doesn't take place.
and what's the default value? Is that not configured, or is it just enabled or disabled? Then
The default value, for example, is that SMB2 gets disabled, so it actually does something. Yeah.
oh really? Oh, that's
the,
the,
the
the
default values of a security baseline is how Microsoft sees those settings. That's the
yeah.
approach. So
it's
it's just a template already filled in for you,
Mhm.
telling you what kind of settings Microsoft would like to set on your devices to make it more secure. So if you enable the template, it will be set for you as set how they want it to have.
Indeed,
Like Conditional Access and Microsoft managed stuff.
exactly, yeah. And don't get me wrong. I think for many organizations it will actually work without any issues,
Sure.
to say so. But there could be some situation that it will actually maybe create a new feature in your environment which you need to troubleshoot, to say so.
Well, it triggers me then because I'm curious now if you can see somewhere if there is a new version of the baseline available because
Yeah, yeah.
you have
There's
there are
actually there's somebody on the internet. There's like a GitHub page where actually all the changes in Intune are being processed and published. I don't have the URL right now, but I will look it up and we will share that in the meeting notes because it actually gives a change log based on graph level on what has been
yeah.
changed, and you can actually see what new settings have been added. Yeah,
Well, I can imagine because if you're not aware of this and you want to know if there's a new policy available or new version with new settings, then I think as engineer manager you want to know there are new settings available because otherwise
yeah.
you never won't open a policy again.
Well,
now
yeah. To add to that, those settings have been described, of course, in the what we call the what's new of Intune. So they have been mentioned there. But what we see, for example, is that the what's new gets updated earlier than actually that the settings are in the tenant. So it's not like that's directly applicable.
Yeah, but on the other
But
hand, if there is a new baseline, like we had a few months ago, you need to go if you are using the security baseline within Intune, you need to go to endpoint security as a security baseline.
Mhm.
Within the security baseline, you need to add the new version on top of the one you have deployed. So you need to take action. It's not that it's in your default policy or whatever, like
yeah,
we have now, because now in the current baseline there were settings not available in the settings catalog. They added that in the settings catalog, and now they are available within the current security baseline. That makes the problem that if you're opening it, that there are bonus features
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
a new security baseline.
But at
Indeed.
some phase, you will notice somewhere in the back end there is a new version. I can imagine that if you now look at security baseline level, at graph level, then you will see there's a new version. That's a new version.
Yeah. So I think you can make sure that you actually notice those things by, for example, monitoring that GitHub page where those are being published.
Yep.
But
I
we do
will
see.
publish that in the description as well.
Yeah,
in the
indeed. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, move forward. Dynamic optimization, delivery optimization. How do we call it, Joost? What
Delivery
happens there?
optimization. The Intune team released something new. It's not new as how the settings are working, but there's a new template. So what we are going to see is that the older device configuration templates are being moved over to settings catalog templates. So they're going to use all the settings catalog items already there, but they're still creating templates for it. The old delivery optimization template is going to be deprecated in a while. So you can still use it if you already build it. But if you build it from scratch, it's going to use the new settings catalog template. So it might be a good idea to, if you're all already using the old template, to move over to the new template, because somewhere, somehow, it's going to fall off the wagon. So that's that's everything about delivery optimization. But Kenneth has got something to say as well, because there are some things there as well. But what you're going to see is that every template on their device configuration will be moved over in, I think there's going to be this year, move over to settings catalog items.
Yeah, but do I need to do something to use that new template, or?
You have to create a new one.
Yeah, okay.
So you can do it in two ways. You can use the settings catalog items, so how you used to do a policy, or you can use the template. And that's the bridge to Kenneth as well.
Yeah, so what I want to add to this is that, for example, if you add settings from the settings catalog, sometimes it's quite handy that OneDrive settings are being mentioned under the OneDrive portion in the tree that you get with all the settings available. But what the templates actually try to solve is that in some cases settings are a little bit divided between a setting in this category and a setting in that category, etc. So what the template does is, if you create a new template, all the related settings related to, in this case, delivery optimizations are already there, and from there you can start configuring them. So that's basically the added value of the template. And the template, of course, is available in another portion of the Intune portal. I think it's is it also under the endpoint security part, Joost?
No, it's just on a normal device configuration.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. But we did see it was not like you don't select like a settings catalog, but you go back to the templates again, and then you choose the delivery optimization template. Is that correct? Yeah, check.
Correct.
Yeah. We do see though that, for example, if new delivery optimization settings are being created, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are directly included into the template. So we continuously must keep ourselves up to date on whether new settings are there, and that could mean that, for example, that if you have made settings with a template, you should have an additional policy with maybe newly added settings catalog items being available as well. So just be aware of that. But again, I think the main point is that the templates really help to get an idea of what settings there are. But don't expect at any point in time that all the related settings are there, because in the meantime, new settings could have been deployed, which have not been reflected in the template yet.
Nice. So move over to dynamic delivery optimization and use that template.
Indeed.
Move forward. Android. I think a huge enhancement has been done on Android in the last few weeks, months. Joost, anything to? add on that?
I can say something about the first stuff, but what you're going to see is more and more features and settings are going into the settings catalog as well. So yeah, the approach to use settings catalog is getting bigger and bigger in the landscape of Intune. So yeah, they're pushing in the settings from Android as well right now. So that's a good thing as well. So there's going to be a full line of only settings catalog items being there.
Yeah.
And
I
what
think
about the
that's a big
custom
one.
device naming template?
I don't use it right now, but I know some of my guys around me are using it a lot and are really happy it's finally there. So,
Yeah.
but I,
That's
Yeah.
one of
So
the first ones that's in the settings catalog.
yeah. Hey, and the enrollment grouping, is that something that was already available, Joost, that you know of?
no, no, but I don't know how it works because I don't do enough with Android devices.
No, but what
Good
happened?
to you.
Well, what I can tell from this is it is coming actually from the new autopilot functionality that you can actually place a device in a group after deployment has taken place, and that has also been extended to the Android platform as well. So then you can start building scenarios where you assign policy, but you only want that policy to be assigned once the deployment is finished. So that's actually can be helpful as well. And another thing on the Android front, which actually crossed my mind while we were talking about it, is that we see that more and more suppliers of what we call Teams Room devices, which run on a version of Android, are now starting to release their firmware to update those devices to Android AOSP, to say so. And that basically means that we need to start thinking about policies to maybe make those devices a little bit more secure. But maybe most important, we need to start building compliance policies to make sure that those devices get compliance because users actually log in on those devices. So you don't want to be blocked by your conditional access policies on whether your device is not compliant.
Yeah,
Um,
and if you want to know more on this, if you want to know more on this, 2 times back in March, we did a bit more information on this kind of topic because Android device management for Teams devices needs to be updated. That's the reason why all that kind of suppliers are updating that kind of devices. So
yeah,
it's really neat. They must do it
indeed.
in order to connect that kind of devices to Intune, so we can manage it. But yeah, that gives a lot of other capabilities as well. What you mentioned.
Exactly. Yeah. What's really nice though is that those updates actually appear in the Teams admin center. So for people working a lot with Teams, if you have Teams Room devices which are Android, you actually see those firmware popping up. But yeah, I don't need to explain that doing a firmware update is something that you do and don't look at it. It's something which must be carefully planned, and you need to test the scenarios, of
Oh
course.
yes.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
the way I
I
do it.
turned. I always turn the upgrade button and
Yeah,
then see what
indeed.
happens.
So, I luckily don't have a Teams Room device at home, so I don't have to worry about this. But I do see this challenge within customers, and they really need to move away from device. What was it? Device administrator, and move towards the AOSP methods for managing their Android devices, which are headless.
Yeah, but with that direction, getting all the Android functionality in the settings catalog, Teams Rooms devices that must be migrated from Teams admin to the new way of managing Android devices gives us, as a sysadmin, a lot of capabilities to manage that kind of devices more optimally.
Yeah. And again, those devices don't support all the settings that we have within the settings catalog, but having a sort of like a baseline security settings on those devices and compliance policy added to that, which makes the device compliant, yeah, makes it like a first party citizen within your infrastructure from that point forward.
Yeah. Nice. So looking forward to the next steps on Android there. Talking about endpoint privilege management, there was some new elevation rule support for file arguments and parameters. So what is called in the on the what's new page. Anyone can elaborate on that one? Joost,
I can
probably.
do it a little bit, but I think eventually Sander is going to tell a little bit more, but he doesn't know yet. Because endpoint privilege management is now, if you're going to use a rule to allow a PowerShell script to be run on a device because you're allowed it in your endpoint privilege management, it's now also able to use arguments after that piece of PowerShell script. So you can only allow a specific piece of argument. And I think Sander is using more arguments than I do, but I think he can tell a little bit more why you want to use an argument or anything else. But that's the case. So you now can say minus domain name, or that's the only thing what is able to run with endpoint privilege management, and all the other things are not allowed. So that's a big extra what we are getting right now.
Well, the argument is def null, so no. No, exactly what you say, because when you have to run a PowerShell, for example, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't matter what kind of PowerShell you want to run, but you have to elevate the PowerShell.exe process if you want to run PowerShell. And the new option now is that you can say, all right, okay, you want to run PowerShell, but then only a particular script that allows to reset a service, for example, or add a license file, or whatever. And then you can make a PowerShell script very specific to do this job. Start new service, min name. Argument is min name. Particular service, and that's it. So you don't have to allow the whole PowerShell process anymore. You can just allow PowerShell.exe min service name is service X. That's it. So you can make some applications that allows users to restart the print spooler, for example.
Yeah.
So that's the story behind it.
Way more granular and more secure. So that's
Sure. Yeah.
So
that's a big one.
Yeah, have a look on that, because if you are opening, for example, your PowerShell scripts, people can do a lot of stuff, and if you can limit that to a specific script, argument, whatever, that can really help them.
Yeah, if you allow to elevate the PowerShell.exe process with admin, then you can just start PowerShell.exe and then can do anything on a system you want. So,
indeed.
not very secure.
So there's really good functionality being added to endpoint privilege management, and I think the solution as itself becomes more and more mature, to say so, because it covers more use cases. I think it's a real maybe one of the products where companies actually maybe decide to start buying Intune suite in this case, because this product really has some good added value, if you ask me.
And
And
like we
allows you
did,
to get rid of admins on your devices.
Yep.
yeah, and like we talked in the last recording from last month, it's supported on my device as well, on an ARM device. So
Yeah,
I think all devices that we are using, x64, ARM, and so on, are all supported now, and I think that's a good way to adopt EPM in your environment.
indeed. Yeah.
Next topic: conditional access. Kenneth, your piece of stuff.
Yeah.
What has
Yeah,
happened there?
Well, what actually happened is that, as people may know, mainly Erik and I have been giving a lot of talks about protecting against adversary in the middle attacks, where people actually need to step up their MFA methods using a phishing resistant MFA. But we do see that, of course, attackers find new ways to circumvent even that. And that's by going for tokens which are on the device itself. So if they can steal like the token which is already on the device, they can actually take that to another device and replay it over there, where at that point in time, the application that they use is actually logged in as the user on the device from which they stole the token. So in order to do something about that, Microsoft has released a functionality called token protection, where actually the token gets bound to the device to which it was delivered. And that basically means that even if you have the option to steal that token, you cannot replay that on another device because it's not the device anymore. Initially, that functionality is still in preview, also within Conditional Access. So initially, it was only working for Exchange Online and SharePoint Online, because the services need to be adopted to start supporting that functionality. And now Microsoft added functionality where you could implement token protection when you connect to AVD Windows 365 using the new Windows app. And as you may know, the Windows app is actually the replacement for all the apps which were there to set up remote connections using the RDP protocol. But this allows us, for example, to start applying token protection on in cases where people use a personal device to connect to a corporate device hosted on AVD or Windows 365. Again, this functionality is still in preview, so don't implement it for your whole environment yet. But I think we do see that Microsoft is stepping up and really monitoring where the security issues are and how we can protect against that.
Yeah. One remark on the Windows app: it's only for AVD and Windows 365. It's not working on a local ADSN implementation.
No, indeed. It's but the main use case is, of course, AVD and Windows 365 corporate devices to which users connect, in most cases from non-managed devices.
Yeah, but I still know that companies are using RDS local, and they can't use the Windows app and can benefit from these kind of topics.
Indeed, yeah.
But does it also mean that you, because AVD is also reachable through HTML, so the browser, does that mean that it's not?
No, the token protection that we are talking about here specifically is not a token being stored in a browser, but the token being used within the apps that you install.
Check.
So that's what we, in Conditional Access, that's something that we call modern authentication clients. And the browser is treated differently in Conditional Access.
Yeah.
For that, phishing resistant still helps.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to move to phishing resistant MFA, definitely. And
indeed. But that will not be like a thing companies can do overnight. And to be honest,
agree, but they need to think about that.
Yeah, indeed. Start moving forward. I always tell customers, start with the new users that you onboard and work from there. But start. Admin accounts or privileged admin accounts, I have to correct myself, should already use phishing resistant MFA. If you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong. That's what I want to emphasize.
Yeah. And look for the new token protection if it's in preview. So test it within your environment, and do not use it for production at the moment, but keep an eye on it when it's GA, so you can use it.
When it's GA, by the way, it's a P2 functionality, just to spur the message.
As always, but when it will be GA, we will be probably mentioning it in one of our next recordings.
Exactly.
Anything else that we missed this month?
Well, probably we missed some things.
probably a lot. Some probably also minor, but maybe major. If you have missed some pieces, please let us know so we can talk about it in the next recording. This time, it was all about the Intune icon. Yeah, we have a new Intune icon. The OneDrive personal edition on business devices. So you will get a message, a pop-up. We talked about that. The security baseline, change tracking URL is in the description. Delivery optimization, new templates, Android settings that are appearing in the settings catalog, endpoint privilege management support for a lot of stuff, and that's good. And the conditional access part in the end. That were all the topics that we have discussed this time. So thanks, guys, for elaborating on all the topics that we had. And with that, I say take care of your Intune environment. And if you want to know what happens this month, tune in for the next recording next month, where we elaborate on the new things that are popping up in your ecosystem at the moment. I say until next time, and take care of your Intune environment. Thank you.